Okay, tuloy po tayo sa fiscal autonomy, no? Appropriations, ayan, shall be automatically and regularly released. So, natakal na po natin to sa judiciary, no? Sa judicial department kung napuntahan na natin yung video na yun, no? So, ibig lang po sabihin yan, freedom from outside control ulit, no? Hindi pwedeng pakialaman how will they spend their money. Pero ang pagkakaiba po ulit, ulitin natin, itong sa Judicial Department at saka sa Constitutional Commissions, pwedeng i-reduce yung budget ng Constitutional Commissions. On the other hand, no, sa Judiciary, bawal. No? Kailangan, it's either the same or we increase it. Yun po yung pagkakaiba. Okay? Sige. Ayan. However, the budget of the commission may be reduced by the Congress below the appropriation in the previous year. Okay? The provision on Section 3, Article 8, yun yung binabanggit ko palagi sa inyo, does not appear in Section 5, Article 9A. Okay, of course, the CHR, no, yung Commission on Human Rights, they do not have fiscal autonomy since hindi po sila kasali sa constitutional commissions, no. Nandun po sila sa Constitution. Kaya lang wala po dito sa Article 9. Nasa ibang article po sila. Sa social justice sila, if my memory serves me right, no. Puntahan natin. Article Article 13, Section 17. Yan. Section 17, 18, 19. O, di ba? So, ano po sila, ano? Created by the Constitution, but hindi po sila Constitutional Commission. Okay, sige. So, composition, no? Ang ginawa ko po dito, para di tayo malito, since tatlo yan, no? Yung mga, hindi po kayo katulad nung legislative na mas madaling kabisaduhin, di ba? Kasi simple lang naman, no? Able to read and write lang naman lahat yan, pati executive, no? Yung president, saka vice president. On the other hand, ito pong civil service, COMELEC at saka COA, medyo specific po yung requirements, educational attainment nung ating mga commissioners and chairmen. Okay? So, ayan, no, composition, how many sa CSC? Mas konti po, tatlo lang. COMELEC, 7. Sa COA, konti lang din, tatlo lang. Okay? Hindi po siya katulad doon sa COMELEC. Dami ng COMELEC, no? 7. Okay, so qualifications, no? Ito gusto ko talagang itackle para sa ating lahat, no? Dito ako natanong no first year ako. Qualifications po ng Civil Service Commissioner o Civil Service Chairman. Tanong, kailangan ba college graduate yung Civil Service Commissioner or Chairman? The answer is no. Kasi ang kailangan lang po is proven capacity for public administration. Sabihin natin, barangay chairman. Barangay chairman siya sa Metro Manila, no? Matagal na siyang kapitan. Na-appoint siya ngayon o in-appoint siya ngayon, no, na CS chairman o CS commissioner. Kaya lang hindi po siya nakapagtapos ng college, high school lang ang natapos niya. Tanong, qualified ba o hindi qualified? Qualified po siya. Kasi may proven capacity siya for public administration kahit na hindi siya nakatapos ng pag-aaral. Okay, so natural born citizen, no, at least 35 years of age at the time of the appointment, proven capacity for public administration, and then lastly ito. Tandaan niyo po, no, kung matatanong man tayo, no, especially palapit na rin ng eleksyon ulit, no, malapit ng eleksyon, next year eleksyon na naman, pwede dito. Yung not, the appointee must not be a candidate for any elective position in the election immediately preceding his appointment. So in this case po, 2024 ngayon. Ano po ang ibig sabihin ng salitang, wag na pala tayo sa national election, sa barangay na lang, katatapos lang, di ba? Nung late last year, nung 2023. Oh, sabihin natin, nagkaroon po ng eleksyon nung 2022, national, di ba? Presidential elections yan. Tapos last year, nagkaroon po ng barangay election. O sabihin natin, lumaban siya bilang konsihal nung national, no? So, sabihin natin natalo. Talo siya, konsihal ng Metro Manila. Tapos, nung barangay elections, so 2023, hindi siya lumaban. Tanong, on 2024, ngayon, siyempre ngayon kayo magbabar, 2024, ganun ang tanong. On 2024, pwede ba siyang ma-appoint na as Civil Service Commissioner? The answer is yes. Kasi hindi po siya candidate for an elective position in the election immediately preceding his appointment. What was that election? Barangay election. O i-flip natin, sabihin natin, nung national election, hindi siya kandidato. Pero nung barangay election last year, lumaban sa bilang kapitan na talo. Tanong, pwede ba siya maging Civil Service Commissioner? The answer is no. The answer is no. Why? Kasi, kandidato po sa nung preceding election, meaning barangay. Doesn't matter kung barangay o National. Okay? So sana po get nyo, no? Tingnan nyo lang kung ano yung huling eleksyon. Doesn't matter kung anong type of election niya. Kung maliit, no? Barangay lang or national talaga. Okay, so this applies po, no? Pakitandaan, ito pong not candidate for any elective position na to. This applies sa civil service, COMELEC, COA. Doesn't matter anong constitutional commission yan. Sa lahat po, common theme lahat yan. Common theme ito. Common theme. Very important. Okay. Next tayo, no? So, tapos na tayo sa Civil Service Commission, punta tayo sa COMELEC. So, again, same thing. Natural born, at least 35. Ito po ang gusto kong i-annotate, ang i-remind sa inyo. Tandaan po natin, para maging COMELEC commissioner o chairman tayo, dapat college graduate. It doesn't matter, no? Kung anong course. Pwedeng criminology, philosophy, arts, no? Literature, no? Journalism, doesn't matter. However, the majority, including the chairman, must be a member of the bar and engage in the practice of law for at least 10 years. So sabihin natin, 7 yan, di ba? Yung tatlo, pwedeng engineer, sabihin natin. O hindi naman sila lawyer, di ba? Tatlo. Pero dapat yung apat, including the chairman, si chairman hindi pwedeng hindi lawyer. Okay, ganun mo. Dapat lawyer na silang matagal sa serbisyo. Matagal sa serbisyo. Matagal sa profession na pinapractice. What is practice of law? Alam nyo na yan. Hindi naman limited sa litigation yan. Pwedeng corporate, pwedeng law professor, pwedeng law author, no? Pwedeng lecturer sa review center. You get the point. Pwedeng nagbibigay lang ng legal advice. That is practice of law. Di ba? Okay. So, tandaan natin, no? Tatlo, pwedeng engineer, gano'n na lang tayo. O tatlo, pwedeng criminology. Pero apat, lawyer, including the chairman, at dapat lawyer sila na, basically, veteran na sila sa practice, no? Kasi isang dekada na silang abogado, no? Okay, so kung bibilangan nyo, dapat, ano talaga sila, 35, di ba? Makikita nyo kung bakit 35, eh, saktong-sakto. Naging lawyer ka ng 25, plus 10 years, 35, saktong-sakto. At least 35, natural born, at least 10 years ka sa practice. Kung chairman ang gusto mo, di ba? Kung COMELEC chairman, sakto. Di ba? Sakto. Okay, ngayon punta po tayo sa COA. Okay. Sa COA po, mas matindi ang kailangan, no? Hindi lang pwedeng college degree holder. Dapat either CPA or lawyer, which makes sense kasi po audit 'yan eh, 'di ba? Nag-audit ng ano, accounts, financial statement, mga ganyan, no? Mga expenditures. So hindi po pwedeng any course, no? Kasi dapat meron talagang relation sa pera, basically. O, pwedeng abogado, no? Kasi naglilitis siya ng about sa pera, or pwedeng CPA kasi sila ang nagko-compute ng pera. Ganun yun po, you need to make sense of things eh, kung bakit ganyan ang reasoning. Kung bakit ganyan ang reasoning. So again, ulitin natin, natural born, at least 35 years of age. Tapos, ayan, not candidate ulit, any elective position in the election immediately preceding. O, tingnan natin ngayon yung last two requisites, no? Dapat, either CPA at least 10 years na may auditing. O, mas specific po siya. Hindi po lahat ng CPA nag-audit. Hindi lahat, no? Paano pag, ano ba bang ginagawa ng CPA? Tax. O, hindi naman nag-audit yan, di ba? Tandaan niyo po, pag CPA, I'm not sure din, no? Pero sa akin, bawa, tax compliance sa BIR. I'm not sure kung nag-audit, no? I'm not sure. Sabihin natin nag-audit na lang, no? Hindi naman ako CPA, no? Basta tandaan niyo dapat may auditing experience, no? Nagche-check talaga, no? Ng financial statement, income statement, no? Ganyan. Balance sheet, and so on. 10 taon. So, dapat veterano rin sila sa profession nila. Veteran na sila. Okay? At the same time, lawyer, ganun din po. 10 years engaged in the practice of law. At dapat po, sa tatlo na ito, dapat hindi lahat lawyer, hindi lahat CPA. Tatlo lang naman eh. So, dapat 2:1. Dalawang CPA, isang lawyer, o dalawang lawyer, isang CPA. Get niyo po ba? Okay. Hindi pwedeng tatlong CPA, tatlong lawyer. Tama yun kasi wala pong, well, CPA lawyer, walang problema. Di ba? Sana all. Pag CPA lawyer, pasok na pasok talaga. No? Tama naman yun, no? Hindi pwedeng tatlong lawyer kasi wala pong magiging perspective nung kabila. Di ba? Ano perspective mo from an auditor's point of view? Hindi naman auditor ang mga lawyer, no? At the same time, kung auditor's point of view lang tayo, paano natin malalaman yung technicality sa law, 'di ba? Sa legal, paano ang approach diyan. So you get the point. Okay, ganun. You just need to, pag ganito mga qualifications mo, you just need to make sense of things, bakit ganito yung qualifications in the first place. Okay? Sige. And ulitin natin na no time shall all members belong in the same profession. No? So kung CPA lawyer, walang problema. Di isa CPA yung deklara niya, yung dalawa, lawyer. O, something like that. Okay. Okay na to, prohibited overseas interest, nabanggit ko na to, no? Ito sa taas. Yes, nabanggit na natin. Yan. Okay, move tayo to the next topic. Ang plano ko dito, ihuli ko yung civil service kasi pinakamahaba yung discussion dyan. Pinakamaikling discussion dito, COA. Maikli lang, no? Isa lang ang laging tinatanong dito normally sa COA aside sa qualifications. Doon sa pinaka-specific provisions niya, may isa lang ang tinatanong dyan normally. Sa civil service, maraming pwedeng panggalingan kasi nga, related po ito sa law on public officers. Di ba? Paano tanggalin ang isang public official, no? Ano dyan? Babanggit ulit yung civil service. Okay, move tayo, no? Okay. Check the discussion below. Nilagay ko ito kasi mahaba siya, no? Tackle natin siya later on. COMELEC muna tayo, no? Sabi po dito, isang power function ng COMELEC, it can decide, no? It must decide, except those involving the right to vote, all questions affecting election. So dito po tayo, pag right to vote, sino ang proper body? Courts. Okay, dahil incapable of pecuniary estimation yan, RTC. Tandaan nyo ha, pag right to vote ang problema, pwede ba siyang bumoto o hindi? Can I exercise my right to vote? Okay, RTC ka. Pag hindi po yun, all questions affecting elections, COMELEC, lahat. Okay, by the way, no, review tayo ng konti. Pag po sa plebiscite, di ba? COMELEC. COMELEC po yan. Pag sa plebiscite ng, yung amend o mag-amend ng consti, COMELEC din po. Okay? Sige. Tapos ito pala, no, I think nabanggit dito ulit yung Diocese of Bacolod. Sa Diocese of Bacolod po, ang nangyari dyan, no, yung kasing yung Catholic Church, no, Diocese of Bacolod in this case, nag-post po sila ng tarpaulin, no, tapos team patay, team buhay. Ito po nung time ng Republic RH law, no, napasa po yung RH law, no. Ngayon, pinapatanggal ng COMELEC kasi daw di compliant sa parang nila, dun sa parang requirement pag-election paraphernalia, no? Hindi masyado daw malaki yung tarpaulin at hindi po ito compliant sa rules and regulations ng COMELEC regarding posting ng mga election na parang propaganda, no? Election paraphernalia nga. So nag-order, no, na ipatanggal. Ang sabi po ng Supreme Court diyan, hindi po ito covered ng power ng COMELEC to decide on all questions affecting elections. Kasi po hindi siya actually speech, hindi siya that tarpaulin, no? Hindi po siya necessarily for the elections. Hindi siya necessarily campaigning. Okay? Hindi po siya campaigning. Ano po siya? It was an exercise of the freedom of speech, freedom of expression of the diocese. Okay? The use of the word affecting in this provision, ayan, affecting, cannot be interpreted to mean that the COMELEC has the exclusive power to decide any and all questions that arise during elections. No? Instead, the more relevant provision is Section 5.1 and Section 1, Article 8. Ibig ba sabihin nito, judicial power yan, di ba? Why? A breach of freedom of expression by the A breach of freedom of expression, mali, the COMELEC, yan. Breached the freedom of expression, yan. Whether pala. Ito, whether. Whether, why? Because the issue was whether, yan. Yan, the COMELEC breached the freedom of expression of the diocese. Yan. Hindi naman po election, hindi po siya speech, hindi po siya election yun nga campaigning, hindi siya partisan political activity. It was just an exercise of their freedom of expression. Yan. Whether because the issue was whether the COMELEC gravely abused yan its discretion in violation yan of the freedom of expression. Yeah. Okay. Delete na to. Thus, no, ayan, the constitutionality of the notice and letter, no, the letter coming from the COMELEC is within the power of the Supreme Court's judicial power and judicial review. Okay? Okay. Next, na functions, no, powers ng COMELEC. The commission may, during the election period, supervise or regulate the enjoyment or utilization of all franchises and permits. Okay? This provision covers franchise holders, not persons exercising their freedom of speech, press, or freedom of the press or freedom of expression. No? So the commission may supervise or regulate the enjoyment or utilization of all franchises. Aba, may franchise ba o permit yung simbahan para i-exercise nila yung freedom of expression nila kung ano yung feel nila doon sa team patay, team buhay? Wala. Okay? Insanidad, isa pang example, versus COMELEC. Column ni Sanidad question the provision prohibiting journalists from covering plebiscite issues on the day before the plebiscite day. This court found that media practitioners exercising their freedom of expression during plebiscite periods are neither the franchise holders nor the candidates. Thus, the right to expression during this period may not be regulated by COMELEC kasi nga ito po, no, tinatakil natin provision na to. Hindi naman sila franchise, hindi naman sila humingi ng permit. They're just exercising the right of their freedom of expression. So, similar to the media, the Diocese of Bacolod were neither franchise holders nor candidates. They were just exercising their freedoms under the Bill of Rights. So, hindi rin sila pwedeng i-regulate. Whether dito po sa phrase na to o sa phrase na to. Okay, tandaan nyo, ganyan talaga yung consti, ano? It's just, paramihan lang ng bala talaga. So, tayo pwedeng matanong. O, next. Okay, so Mr. A filed this COC, no, Certificate of Candidacy for President. Marami gumagawa niyan every election, di ba? Pag presidential. Kahit sino nagpa-file, di ba? However, he was declared as a nuisance candidate nuisance candidate by the COMELEC. Thus, he filed a petition to the Supreme Court contending that the COMELEC violated Section 26, Article 2 of the Constitution, which states that the state shall guarantee equal access to opportunities for public service and prohibit political dynasties as may be defined by law. So is Mr. A correct? Basically, ang argument po ni Mr. A, hindi siya binigyan ng access maging presidente, opportunity to become president kasi ginawa siyang nuisance candidate. Pag kasi naging nuisance candidate ka, hindi i-acknowledge yung COC na final mo. So, hindi ka magiging official candidate for the presidency. So, is he correct? No, he is incorrect. Why? Marami pong dahilan, no? Gusto ko yung mga ganito, no? Basically, pag tinanong kayo sa bar exam, may tatlo kayong reasons kung bakit, no? Depende kung ano gusto nyo sabihin para tama yung sagot nyo, no? Para magkaroon kayo ng full credit, no? Dito po tatlo, nakita kong dahilan bakit mali si Mr. A. First is, the equal access provision under Article 2 of the Constitution is not self-executing. Okay, so, since it is not self-executing, it does not confer any rights to the people. Yun po unang sagot dyan. Yan. Okay? Yan ang unang sagot. Not self-executing, so yun po yung kadugtong niyan. Pag not self-executing, no rights will be given, no? No rights will be derived, will be granted from this provision to the people. Next, the privilege of equal access to opportunities to public service may be subjected to limitations. So, some valid limitations are the Omnibus Election Code on nuisance candidates and the COMELEC Resolution Number 6452, outlining the instances where the COMELEC may motu proprio refuse to give due course to or cancel a certificate of candidacy. Why? Kasi nga, one reason is nuisance candidate. So, as long as these limitations apply to everybody equally, without discrimination, hindi po siya magiging unconstitutional. Next na reason natin, no? Ito pala, apat pala reason dito, no? Also, the rationale behind the prohibition against nuisance candidates, ayan, is easy to divine. Ibig lang sabihin yan, for practical considerations, no? It is obvious why we prohibit nuisance candidates, no? Practical na lang tayo. Kung hindi ka na nilagay dito kung bakit. Pero ang sagot dyan is, logistically pa lang po, no? In the counting of votes, the more candidates we have, the harder it is to count the votes, the harder it is to find the result. Di ba? To determine the result of the elections kung 1,000 ang candidates for the president. Di ba? Imagine pa lang po sa balota, gaano kahaba yung magiging balota natin, 1,000 candidates for the president. Di ba? Instead na one page lang po yung balota, yung shade na natin, naginang 10 pages. Di ba? Nagsasagot na tayo ng law book. Di ba? You get the point. Ito pala yung lastly, no? Ito po talaga yung directed towards Article 9. No? Ito, kung meron tayong matatandaan dapat na reason bakit pwedeng tanggalin yung COC ng nuisance candidates, ito po sana ang mabanggit natin. Kung di man ito, sana mabanggit natin iba nating sinabi earlier, no? The COMELEC is mandated by the Constitution with the administration of elections. So, kung gusto natin maging technical talaga, maging precise, ang sagot dyan is the COMELEC under the Constitution has the power to enforce and administer all laws and regulations relative to the conduct of an election. This includes the removal of nuisance candidates from the official ballot. Removing, yung, ano ba tawag dito? Canceling, yan. Their COC motu proprio. Okay? Why? The Constitution guarantees that only bona fide candidates for public office shall be free from any form of harassment and discrimination. This is provided under Section 10, Article 9C. Okay? Section 10, Article 9C. Bona fide candidates for any public office shall be free from any form of harassment and discrimination. In this case po, since hindi po bona fide candidate ang isang nuisance candidate, he is not free from discrimination. What's the discrimination? We remove your COC. We remove your name from the official ballot. Diba? We cancel your COC. So the determination of bona fide candidates, whether nuisance o hindi, this is governed by the statutes. One is the Omnibus Election Code. So may 4 reasons. I suggest ito pong last ang tandaan natin. Meron kayong dalawang kailangan tandaang provisions. So, di ko nilagay isa. First is, ito nga, no, nakalagay ito, no, most important provisions for COMELEC, dalawa. Ito. Okay? Yan. Okay. Aside from that, state nyo yung section 10. Bona fide candidates shall be free from any form of harassment and discrimination. Okay, sana po malinaw, no? Move tayo to COMELEC. Yan lang po yung normally natatanong sa provision sa Article 9C, no? 9B yung Commission on Audit, 9B yung Civil Service Commission. Tapos yung 9A, tandaan nyo yun yung common provisions for all commissions, no? Andiyan yung mga reappointment, ganyan, okay? Sige, tama ba? Wait lang, I just have to make sure. Wala pala doon yung ano, reappointment. Yung reappointment, nasa mismo mga 9B, 9C, 9D. Okay, I'm sorry. Wait, tama ba ako? Okay, tama. Nandun sa 9B, 9C, 9D. Yung sinasabi ko pala, yung sa fiscal autonomy, nasa common provisions, among others. Okay, let's move to COA. Sa COA po, ganito ang normal na magiging topic sa atin, no, o tanong sa bar exam. Under the jurisdiction ba ng COA? Kasi yun naman lagi ang tanong dito sa COA, di ba? Pwede bang i-audit o hindi? Yun lang yun. Pwede bang i-audit o hindi? Ano pa ibang itatanong sa inyo sa COA? Di ba, di naman kayo tatanong na internal matters ng COA. Di ba, hindi na natin alam yan. Di naman tayo accountants. Di ba? So, nakalagay po dito, no? Basahin ko na lang, oh, have your caudals with you pa din. Siyempre, yun ang gusto kong sinasabi lagi, have your caudals with you. Nakalagay po dito, mahaba. Ang important provision dito, Section 2, Paragraph 1. Nakalagay dyan, the Commission on Audit shall have the power, authority, and duty. Hindi lang po power, hindi lang authority, obligasyon siya. Duty. To examine, audit, settle. O yan, sino-sino daw ang i-audit? Malamang, obviously, the government. Okay? Use of funds, expenditures, revenue, basta lahat ng pera, usapang pera ng gobyerno. Subdivisions, agencies, instrumentalities, including GOCCs with original charters. Ano ibig sabihin ng original charters? Ibig sabihin, ginawa po ng special law para magawa yung GOCC. Yan po ibig sabihin niya. Kasi ang GOCC nung unang panahon, may GOCC created by special charters no ng law, meron naman pong GOCCs gawa ng under the corporation code. Okay, so you get the point, no? Tandaan natin. So actually, kung isipin nyo, kung pahirapan kayo sa bar, di kayo tatanungin about sa government. Aba, malamang, subject yan sa audit. Gobyerno eh. Subdivision, yes. Agencies, yes. Instrumentalities, yes. O ngayon, tatanungin kayo, ang mga LGUs ba subject sa COA? Yes. Subdivisions, kapatid. Political subdivisions din ang tawag sa LGUs, no? That's another term. Agencies, DepEd, yan. Kaya yan. DPWH, mga ganyan. NBI. Diyan na po kasali. Instrumentality. Ano ang usual example ng instrumentality? Airport. Mactan, yung sa Mactan na Airport Authority. I forgot the MCIAA ba yun? Tingnan ko lang ha. Just to make sure. Yes, tama ako. MCIAA, Mactan Cebu International Airport Authority. O yan. Kailangan po silang i-audit kasi considered as instrumentality. Tandaan nyo yung pag-A yung dulo. NFA, authority, instrumentality. Ganun lang. That's how I think about it eh. Pag A yung dulo, hindi C, o hindi siya mukhang, huwag palang C, hindi siya mukhang GOCC, like authority, National Housing Authority, National Food, NFA, di ba, authority. MIAA, may ano ba eh? Pag MIAA, tingnan natin. MCIAA, instrumentality, ah Manila International Airport Authority, instrumentality. Okay? Kahit po nakalagay sa, ito, tinitingnan ko ngayon sa Google, nakalagay GOCC, hindi, ang treatment po niya sa batas natin, pag airport authority, batas sa ano na yan, no, tinakil din to sa taxation, ang treatment po sa kanila, instrumentality of the government, kaya exempt sila from real property taxes yung lupa. Okay, ano pa? LRTA, no? Light Rail Transit Authority. O yan. You get the point. PNR. Then, tingnan natin, wait lang ha, don't quote me sa PNR, titingnan ko lang kung authority ba yung dulo. Wag mo na pala try sa PNR, no? Baka GOCC to. Okay. So, ayan, natandaan nyo, pag instrumentality, covered din ng um, COA. O next tayo, GOCCs with original charters. Ito na po yung GSIS, no? Gusto ko lang i-clarify sa atin ng mabuti para pag tinanong tayo sa bar kung subject sa to audit, huwag niyo sabing instrumentality. Alam niyo kung saan yung igugrupo. O. UP, PUP, PLM, GOCCs with original charters, GSIS, PhilHealth, SSS, Pag-ibig, o yung mga yan, no? GOCCs with original charters. O next tayo, constitutional bodies, commissions, and offices that have been granted fiscal autonomy under this constitution. Ano po ito? Ade, ito nga, constitutional commissions. COMELEC, pwede niya i-audit yung COA, pwede niya i-audit yung COMELEC na baligtad. Pwede niya i-audit yung ombudsman. O, di ba? Kasi mga may fiscal autonomy yan eh. O, judiciary. Di ba? Fiscal autonomy, constitutional body, judicial department, Supreme Court. O, di ba? Autonomous state colleges and universities. Wag pala natin ilagay sa GOCC with original charters. Dito na lang, autonomous state colleges and universities, yung mga UP. Okay. Other GOCCs and their subsidiaries. Ang point lang po, basta pag GOCC covered, kahit na meron silang board of directors, di ba? Pag ganyan galawan, parang negosyo, covered pa din ng audit, okay, ng COA. Ito, kung mahihirapan talaga kayo, ito ang magiging tanong sa inyo. NGO, non-governmental organization, sabihin natin para sa mga aso. NGO para sa mga aso. As a rule, pwede bang i-audit o hindi? Hindi po. Kasi pag NGO ka, private, ano yan eh, pag sinetap mo yan, non-stock, non-profit yan. Di ba? Normally, pag sa charitable organization, pribado ang may-ari, no? Pag may-ari ng pribadong tao yan. However, ito po exception. Non-governmental entities. Pag sinabi mong non-governmental entities, lahat ng korporasyon, lahat ng partnerships, lahat ng entities. Okay? Receiving subsidy or equity from or through the government. Yan. Ibig sabihin, korporasyon ka, sabihin natin, domestic corporation, no? Stock profit. Binigyan ka ng pera. Wag pala, sa NGO muna tayo para simple, no? Yung PDAF dati. Binigyan, kasi ito yung usual na magiging example sa atin kasi nangyari sa totoong buhay eh. Binigyan yung NGO ng 1 million ni ni Senator. Yung po bang NGO pwedeng i-audit ni COA? The answer is yes. Pwede po siyang i-audit ni COA. Kasi he received, it received subsidy. Di ba? From the government through Senator A, Senator B. Okay? Which are required by law or the granting institution to submit to such audit as a condition of subsidy or equity. So nakalagay po dun sa subsidy mismo that this uh, this this NGO will be subjected to audit as a condition of the subsidy or equity. Ito ang tanong para sa akin, no? Yung po bang mga contractor, alam nyo na yung NGO, madali na yan, no? Get nyo yan, pag binigyan ng pera, kailangan i-audit ng COA. Siyempre, parang nakita kung legit o hindi. Common sense lang din. Ito ang tanong ko. Sabihin natin, binigyan ka ng kontrata ng gobyerno. Contractor ka ng roads, no? Kanal, mga ganyan. Contractor ka basically, no? Binigyan ka 100 million peso contract by the government. Kailangan bang i-audit ka rin ng COA? O yan ang tanong. No? Medyo pahirapan kayo. Yung po mga contractors, pwede din, no? Kasi assuming that, ayan, nakalagay naman, no? Pwede rin silang ma-audit, no? Assuming that the audit was a condition of the grant of the subsidy or equity. By the way, no, kapag po ganyan, no, sabihin natin may kontrata, tapos yung kontrata is very unfair, no? Grossly inadequate against the government, no? Siyempre, may exposure yan sa criminal case, 'di ba, sa anti-graft and corrupt practices. So, wag lang po pala tayo doon sa mismong accounts, no? Wag lang tayo doon sa mismong accounts, yung mindset natin. Wag lang sa mismong balance sheet, income statement nung respective contractors, no? Pati rin po yung pinaka-kontrata itself. No? Kasi nakalagay po dito, yung pala isa kung di ko nabanggit. Nakalagay dyan, all accounts pertaining to the revenue and receipt, expenditure, or use of funds and property. Yung mismong kontrata itself, pwedeng i-audit yun. Yung magkano yung binili, magkano yung purchase order, magkano ba yung value ng alam niyo na, no? Kung nagkaroon ba ng kickback, kung pinad ba, tinaasan ba yung value nung biniling upuan, biniling school supplies, no? Biniling computer, doon sa contractor, no? Kung nagkaroon ba ng padding, whatever, pwede pong i-audit, no? So in that case, talagang nag-i-expose din po yung mga private contractors sa auditing powers ng COA if they transact with the government. Like yun nga, contractor sila, ma-expose talaga, no? Kasi sisilipin talaga yung pinaka accounts mo eh. 'Di ba? Magkano yung kinita, it's so on, no? Unconscionable ba yung presyo nung per chair, per ball pen? No? You get the point. Okay, so ano rin po sila. Basta tandaan nyo, the rule is pag tumanggap ng pera o nagkaroon ng pera galing sa gobyerno, whether LGU, whether national government, LGU, authority, department, pwede pong ma-subject to audit yung private contractors. Madali yun sa NGO eh, no? Sa contractor, pwede rin po. Okay, yan lang yung normal na tanong sa COA. Let's go to Civil Service Commission, ano, yung pinaka mahaba sa lahat, no? Sige, punta po tayo. Ay, may kapaka din nabanggit, no? Ayan, no? Just to recap, no? Tandaan natin, kapag may money claim against the government, huwag kayong magpapile sa RTC. Ang context nga nito, no, sa suability natin to, immunity of state from suit, doon natin to tinakil, di ba? Pag money claims against the government, normally contractor hindi binayaran, the contractor must file the claim, no? Sa COA, hindi po sa RTC. Wala pong jurisdiction ng RTC over this money claim. COA po ang merong primary jurisdiction. Okay. Civil Service Commission tayo, no, nakalagay dyan, pinaka-important na provision is yung the civil service embraces all branches, subdivisions, instrumentalities, and agencies of the government, including GOCCs with original charters. Ano po ibig sabihin nito? Nakalagay dyan, alam na natin branches eh, no? Ibig sabihin, whether judiciary, legislative, or executive, civil service employee. Kaya po, nakalagay nga dito, that's why their salaries are standardized. Covered po lahat ng yung salary table sa gobyerno. Salary grade 25, 26, 10, mga ganyan. Covered po. Okay? However, tandaan nyo po ito, ito yung gusto kong tandaan nyo. GOCCs with original charters. No? So, ibig po sabihin yung GOCCs created by special laws ulit. GSIS, SSS, PhilHealth, yan po mga yan, civil service employees din po sila. Okay, nakalagay eh, di ba? Embraced eh. Okay? Pero yung po mga GOCCs created o organized, incorporated under the corporation code, hindi po sila considered as civil service employees. So ano po ang effect nun, no? Pag sinabi mo kasing civil service employee ka, pag nagkaroon ng tanggalan sa trabaho, may jurisdiction po ang Civil Service Commission to determine the legality, the validity of the dismissal. On the other hand, kapag GOCC ka, organized under the corporation code, hindi ka civil service employee, so NLRC. Yan, di ba? Labor arbiter ang proper body that will determine the legality of the dismissal. Okay, let's tackle, no? Okay, so if the GOCC is with an original charter such as the University of the Philippines, it is clearly part of the civil service. If wala pong original charter incorporated under the corporation law, no? The proper body is the NLRC because it is not part of the civil service. By the way, nowadays po no wala nang GOCCs no na kine-create under the corporation code. Puro special law na po, no? Government hospitals are part of the civil service. Okay. Ito po, no? The Philippine National Red Cross is not a governmental instrumentality. It is a sui generis entity. Okay, tandaan niyo, hindi po siya public, hindi siya hindi mo rin pwede sabihin na fully private siya, hindi, no? It is a sui generis entity. Ito po sa Red Cross, matatakal pa to further sa international law. Okay, sige, kasi normally ang ng Red Cross talaga para sa international organization. Okay. So summary, no, i-correlate po natin yung jurisdiction, powers ng Ombudsman, Civil Service Commission, and other constitutional commissions, yung COMELEC at saka yung COA, no? Ganyan naman ang talagang nag-relate dapat sa empleyado ng gobyerno. Disciplinary powers, no? Let's correlate the disciplinary powers of the CSC, the Ombudsman, and the other constitutional commissions, no? Disciplinary powers nila sa mga empleyado ng gobyerno. So, criminal, alam naman natin, Ombudsman. Walang usapan, no? If criminal, the ombudsman has the power to investigate. Of course, ito, no? Hindi ko na inilagay dito kasi gugulo pa yung sa judiciary. Di ba? Nakalagay po sa judiciary, if we can remember, dapat po mag-defer. Di ba? If a case was filed against a judge before the ombudsman, hindi naman i-dismiss yung kaso. The ombudsman must defer and transmit the records to the Supreme Court for administrative proceedings. I-determine muna natin kung tatanggalin ba si judge o hindi. After nun, at saka po magkakaroon ng criminal investigation against kay judge. Tandaan po natin, administrative, wala ang hindi pwedeng mag-admin case ang ombudsman. Okay? Laban sa isang judge, no? O about sa isang judge, di naman laban regarding sa isang judge. Dapat po Supreme Court lagi. Anyway, let's go back to here, no? Let's go back here. If criminal, the ombudsman has the power to investigate. Walang power ang CSC and other constitutional commissions to investigate. Paano pag admin? Okay. Pwede po ang Civil Service Commission. Okay? Wait lang. Okay, no, nilinis ko lang, no? Kinumpleto ko, no? Administrative cases po, pwedeng mag-file sa Civil Service Commission if the public officer is not a presidential appointee or an elective official. Sino po ito, no? Mga public official nato na hindi naman inappoint ng presidente or elective official. Napakadali. Treasurer ng LGU. Oh. Assessor. Register of Deeds, no? Yung mga official diyan. Okay. Sino pa? Sa police, sabihin natin hindi siya presidential appointee, sarhento. Pwede Civil Service Commission diyan. Appointive official, pero hindi sila elective, hindi sila presidential appointee. Okay, kaya po mapapansin nyo, kapag sa limbawa, tawag dito, si Mayor, ganyan, no? May anomalyang ginawa. Ano ba ang normal na nag-admin case? Saan? Ombudsman, di ba? Kasi po ang ombudsman, ang power ng ombudsman, all public officials. Except president, syempre. President kasi immune yan, di ba? Immune from suit ang president, no? Matatakal natin later on sa Article 7, no? Sa ombudsman, lagyan ko lang exception dito, no? if appointive and elective. However, no, the president, no, is immune from suit, di ba? And, no, judges and justices are under the administrative supervision of, ayan, the Supreme Court. Okay. Mayor, governor, saan magpapile ang kaso normally pag nagkaroon ng bawa, supposed anomaly sa budget, no? Ombudsman. Hindi po pwede sa Civil Service Commission kasi Civil Service Commission bawal ang elective officials diyan. Okay? Bawal. Okay? So medyo sa Civil Service Commission po, no? Treasurer, assessor, yan. Ano pa ba yung mga ano? Accounting, sa ganyan, no? Ganyan yung mga pwedeng filean. Teacher, o pwede yan, teacher, no? Public school teacher, pwede. No? Principal, supervisor, ganyan, no? Ng DepEd, pwede. Okay. DepEd secretary, hindi pwede. Okay? Ombudsman yan. Ombudsman pwede po if appointive and elective official. Okay. However, the president is immune from suit and judges and justices are under the administrative supervision of the Supreme Court. Okay. Actually, court personnel eh, no? Judges, justices, and other court personnel. Yan. Like clerk of court sa ano rin, Supreme Court din, and other court personnel. Baka na rin ma-uphold natin yung doctrine of separation of powers. Okay? Tapos, paano naman po yung empleyado ng COMELEC? Yung mas mababa nilang empleyado, hindi commissioner, hindi chairman. Empleyado nila dyan, yung mga court attorneys nila, sa COA, o yung mga auditor nila. Nakalagay po dyan, the Constitutional Commission shall appoint their officials and employees in accordance with law. Since sila po ang nag-a-appoint, di ba, sila mismo, yung Constitutional Commission, yung COA, sa kay COMELEC mismo, sila rin na may power to discipline. Pwede rin. Okay? Aside from the civil service. Pwede, yung mismo yung COMELEC commissioner, yung chairman, sila yung pwedeng madisiplina. Okay? Pwede rin CSC. As long as hindi presidential appointee at saka elective official. Okay? Ayan, no? However, no, nilagay ko lang dito no, para sa mga department secretaries din. The president can also discipline the appointed members of the executive department. No? For those with security of tenure, due process must be accorded. No? Ano ba yung mga may security of tenure dyan? USEC. Bakit po? Kasi ang USEC po nag-exam yan. No, meron sila nung parang kalimutan ko yung competency exam eh. Hindi ako sure kung parang civil service exam pero mas mataas. I forgot the name, no? Titingnan ko muna, wait lang. Parang ayun, parang ano, uh, competency-based written examination, something like that, no? For uh, higher, no? Higher na mga position sa gobyerno, may exam sila. So, sabihin natin, nagpalit po ng presidente, hindi po matatanggal si Yusek. Tandaan niyo yun, no? Hindi matatanggal si Yusek. Si Yusek stay pa din. Okay, Yusek pa din siya kahit na nagbago na ng presidente at kahit hindi niya kaalyado yung current president kasi meron silang security of tenure hanggang 65. On the other hand, pag po department secretary ka talaga, DepEd secretary, DPWH secretary, DOLE secretary, ayan po, no? For position subject to the will of the president ka. Okay? The public officials can be removed by the president anytime. Hindi kailangan ng hearing. Pag po kasi sinabing due process must be accorded do sa mga may security of tenure, kailangan may hearing yan. Dadaan tayo sa tamang proseso. Okay? Kasi po, pag department secretary, sabihin natin, hindi na tiwala ang presidente sa kanya, tatanggalin niya sa trabaho. Hindi po dismissal ang magiging word sa kanya. Ang wording po dyan is, his term will be deemed expired. Pag tinanggal sa pwesto ang isang department secretary, expired term ang ground bakit siya natanggal. Hindi po dismissal for being ano ba, for dishonesty. Hindi po ganun. Okay? On the other hand, pag may security of tenure ka, ano po yung mga may security of tenure? Assistant, Solicitor General, ASG. Pero yung Solgen mismo, yung puno, ayan, subject to the will of the President yan. Something like that, no? Okay. 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 Competitive examination. With competitive, yes. Okay. All appointments of the civil service must be approved by the CSC, no? For judiciary, the appointments need the approval of the CSC because Section 5, Paragraph 6, Article 8 provides that the Supreme Court, no, the judiciary can appoint all officials and employees of the judiciary in accordance with the civil service law. So mayroon pong intervention basically ang civil service kahit sa mga ina-appoint na mga empleyado ng judiciary. Not necessarily sa pagpapatanggal sa kanila, pero yung qualification sabihin natin, pwede siyang i-set ng civil service. Okay? Commission. Same thing po sa ombudsman, ayan, no? In accordance with the civil service law. The officials and employees of the ombudsman and other than the deputies. Kasi pag deputy, president din ang mag-a-appoint niyan eh, deputy ombudsman. So hindi pwedeng subject sa civil service in accordance ganun, no? Okay. Shall be appointed by the ombudsman according to the civil service law ulit. Okay. Tinan ko lang yun sa ano, no? Okay tayo dyan. Let's move to the next. Ayan. Presidential appointments, members of the AFP, police forces, firemen, and jail guards do not require CSC approval. Hindi po sila kayo. Iba kasi, no? Pag police, mga ganyan sa militar. Hindi po. Okay? Can the CSC encroach upon the discretion of the appointing authority? Ano po ang konteksto nito? Oh? Sabihin natin, may dalawang kandidato. Yan. Pareho po sila qualified. No? Sabihin natin, minimum requirement is 35 years of age, college graduate. Yan yung minimum. Pareho silang college graduate, 35 years of age. Kaya lang yung isa, doctorate, lahat na, ano, basically, nag-masteral, nag-doctorate, matindi yung resume niya. Yan. Yung isa naman, college graduate lang. Ngayon, ang inappoint, yung college graduate lang. Tanong, pwede bang basically i-set aside, i-cancel yung CAC appointment dun sa college graduate lang para ang ma-appoint yung may doctorate degree? The answer is no. Okay? Appointment is sabi po sa Luego versus Civil Service Commission, appointment is a discretionary power that must be performed by the President. The only condition is if the appointment is permanent, the appointee should possess the minimum qualification requirements, including the civil service eligibility prescribed by the law. Hence, when the appointee is qualified and all other requirements have been satisfied, the CSC has no choice but to attest to the appointment, even though there's another candidate with more, diba? Credentials. Doesn't matter. Okay? Yun pala, ang sabi ko kanina, sa exam, yung competency exam. Hindi, ito pala yung ano, career service examination ang tawag pag mag-exam yung mga undersecretary. Career executive yun. Ayan, tama. Naget ko na. Career Executive Service Examination ang tawag. Ang Department Secretary po, hindi kailangan mag-exam. Kahit sino, pag ginusto ng presidente, ikaw ang Department Secretary. Pero pag USEC, may Career Service Executive Written Examination yun. No? Mas mataas. Kahit na lawyer ka, kahit na nag-bar exam ka na, mag-exam ka pa ulit. Iba kasing usapan ni USEC na yun eh. Okay. We're good there. No? Pakibasa lang po ito. Ito, pakibasa na lang kasi ito, brief preview lang po ito sa, ano, sa topic later on sa administrative law na to eh. Hindi na to covered ng constituents, so I don't wanna cloud you. I don't wanna cloud your brain na dito sa admin, no? Doon na lang natin i-tackle, no? Sa lecturer ng administrative law, yung about sa mga exam, no? ng government employees. Okay. Puro ganito na pala, no? Read this one na lang, no? Ilalagay na lang sa reviewer. And then, i-tackle lang natin to later on sa administrative law. The best thing to do here is mag-move na tayo to, ano, executive department, no? Para mas focus po tayo. Ayoko kasi na masyadong tumalon tayo from the Constitution eh. Ito kasi medyo provisions na to sa ano, may revised administrative code. So let's circle back. Ito, no? last na provision under the Constitution na important for civil service sa Article 9B of the Constitution. Ito, no elective official shall be eligible for appointment or designation in any capacity to any public office or provision during his tenure. Basically, para po itong catch all. 'Di ba sa executive meron? Nakalagay diyan later on sa judiciary meron. Sa legislative meron, 'di ba? Meron din sa constitutional commissions mismo, 'di ba? Meron, no? Ang pwede lang ex officio capacity, 'di ba? Ito po, catch all. No elective official, governor, mayor, konsehal, board member, vice governor, you get it. Hindi ka pwedeng ma-appoint in any capacity to any public office during your tenure, no? Pero ang ano po, no? Ayan, no? Unless otherwise allowed by law or by the primary functions of his office. Ito ibig sabihin ng ex officio pala. Yan. You became an officer of this new office or new department, new agency by the primary functions of your position. So by virtue of your office ex officio, naging member ka din, no? No appointed official shall hold any other office or employment in the government and so on. Okay. So catch all po ito, tandaan nyo, no? For feature of first position, it is well settled rule that he who while occupying one office accepts another incompatible office. Kasi po yung incompatible office nasa Article 6 lang Legislative Department. Pero po sa lahat meron din. Yan na nga yun, Section 7, Article 9B. Accepts another incompatible office with the first office, ipso facto, so automatically, in short, vacates the first office and his title thereto is terminated without any other act. This applies to both elective and appointive positions. However, nilagay ko dito, this scenario is too easy. An example is Secretary Mark Villar, no? Okay, wag natin ilagay pala to. No, no, wag natin ilagay masyadong Anyway, sabi ko lang sa inyo si Secretary Mark Villar, no? Si Secretary Mark Villar po kasi, dati siya DPWH Secretary. Ngayon, bago siya ma-appoint as DPWH Secretary, nanalo siyang congressman sa Las Piñas. O, nanalo siyang congressman sa Las Piñas, inappoint siyang secretary sa DPWH. Binakate niya yung spot niya as a congressman, no? Naging vacated yung position. So, parang wala pong nagkaroon ng caretaker. Ayan. Basically po, no, pag halimbawa, isang congressman na-appoint siya as department secretary, yung pong walang magiging special election. Hindi naman nagkakaroon ng special election normally pag nagkakaroon ng vacation ng position eh. Ang nangyayari po dyan, nagkakaroon ng caretaker congressman. No? Sabihin natin yung congressman sa kabilang distrito o sa kabilang city, caretaker siya nung nabakanting posisyon. Something like that, no? Incompatible kasi yung office. Okay, so ito pala yung comment ko, no? Example pala. Example. Okay, so example po is yung mayor ng Olonga po, ginawang administrator ng SBMA. Unconstitutional yun kasi SBMA authority is di ba? Subic Bay, ano yan eh? Ano ba ibig sabihin SBMA? Metropolitan ba yun? SBMA. Tingnan natin. Tama. Subic Bay Metropolitan Authority is an instrumentality of the government. Authority. 'Di ba? Hindi pwedeng i-appoint ang mayor, elective official to another instrumentality of the government. That is incompatible. So unconstitutional yung provision na yon sa charter ng SBMA. Here, the court declared in the dispositive portion that the mayor of Olongapo did not vacate his first office. However, his appointment for the second office was declared unconstitutional. Okay, why? Kasi hindi naman law ang nag-appoint no? So basically, dineclare lang as unconstitutional yung provision na yun. So yung pong second appointment, um, void, no? For being unconstitutional. Hindi po siya katulad doon sinasabi ko yung, kailangan yung kay Secretary Mark Villar, former Secretary Mark Villar na inappoint siya ng President. Iba yun. So pag inappoint ka, tapos tinanggap mo, binakit mo yung first office. In this case po, wala namang appointment na nangyari ng Presidente. Law po ang nagsabi. So, ang nangyari lang dyan, hindi na siya, iba yung magiging presidente dapat ng SPMA. Okay. Article 7, okay, sa president po ito, no? Later on, we will tackle this one. Article 7, Executive Department. Ayan. While all other appointive officials in the civil service are allowed to hold other office or employment in the government when such is allowed by law or by the primary functions of their positions. Members of the cabinet, their deputies, may do so only when expressly authorized by the Constitution itself. In other words, Section 7, Article 9b is meant to lay down the general rule applicable to all. Yan. Naget ko na. Naget na natin. Yung Section 7, Article 9b, catch all. Di ba sabi ko sa inyo, catch all provision siya for all officials. While Section 13, Article 7 is specific for President, Vice President, Department Secretary, Deputies, Assistants. Alala ko pa, Deputies, Assistants. So pati po sa USEC, saka sa ASEC, covered po, no? Ayan. Hence, the DOTC Undersecretary cannot be appointed as an OIC of Marina despite the allegation that this is covered by her primary functions of her office. Okay. What if the appointment was made through a law? The answer is still the same because the exceptions of law and primary functions of his position apply only to appointive officials in general, no? They do not apply to officials covered under Section 13, Article 7. However, where the positions, wait, let's clarify this one. Let's clarify this one. Medyo magulo, no? Ayusin natin to. Hindi ito. Not this one. Let's make it simpler. No yan. Ganito. Basta ang general rule, lahat ng public officials, no, whether elective o appointive, no, hindi sila pwedeng magkaroon ng another office unless allowed by law or by the primary functions of their office. Ayan. Ngayon, ayusin natin. Pag po sa executive department secretary na lang, wag na yung president, no? Pag department secretary ka, you can only hold another office if ex officio capacity. Yan. Primary functions of your office nga, no? Hindi pwede yung allowed by law. Wala pong ganong exception. Primary function of your office lang. Okay. So, example, yan, no? Sa LRTA, ex officio dyan, yung DOTC secretary, no? Let's confirm that, no? Board of Trustees, LRTA. Ayan, Board of Directors. I'm sorry, hindi pala trustees. Board of Directors. Ayan, no? Ang chairman po ng LRTA, secretary ng DOTR. Ex officio capacity. Pwede. Primary functions of your office, malamang. Department ka ng Transportation, LRT is transportation ng gobyerno. Ex officio chairman ka. Okay. Ano pa? Sino pa ang mga board of directors ng LRTA? Secretary of the DPWH, malamang. Kailangan mo ng roads. Gagawa ka ng ng railway, di ba? Department of Budget, Department of Finance, and NEDA. Chairman of the MMDA, LTFRB, and something like that, no? So, ex officio capacity po lahat yan. Okay? So, pwede. Tandaan natin. Pero hindi pwede yung just because the law states that you can be an official of another position, papayagan mo ni Department Secretary, hindi pwede yun. Dapat ex officio capacity. Okay? Ayan. What if the appointment was made through a law? The answer is still the Department Secretary cannot occupy. Yan. Cannot occupy the second office because the exceptions of law and primary functions, the exception of law, applies only, ayan, to appointive officials in general. This does not apply to officials covered under Section 13, Article 7. Article 7. However, where the positions are held by the public officer in an ex officio capacity, there is no violation of any provision, whether in Article 7 or Article 9b. Why? Because the other positions do not constitute as any other office. Mas malinaw na. Para po sa akin, yung primary functions of his office kasi ano yun, ex officio. Dan ng thinking. Diba? Siyempre, primary function mo, sa DOTC secretary ka, to regulate transport. Eh di pag naging chairman ka ng LTFRB, ng LRTA, primary function mo yun, di ba? To regulate LRTA kasi public transport siya. Di ba? Ex officio capacity. Okay, so yun, mas malinaw, no? Haba na. Masyado nag-overthink na dito, delete to. Ito pa isang important, no? Basta tandaan pala natin, no? Sabihin natin, ex officio capacity, DOTC, chairman siya ng LRTA. Okay yun. But, he is prohibited from receiving additional compensation as an LRTA chairman. Because the services are already being paid by his principal office. Okay, so pag DOTC chairman ka, no? Department secretary ka ng DOTC chairman. DOTC secretary ka, chairman ka ng LRTA. Yung sweldo mo as DOTC secretary, magkano naman yung sweldo mo na yan? Yun na rin yung sweldo mo as LRTA chairman kasi nga ex officio capacity. No? Hindi pwedeng double compensation. Okay? Next. Ito nga yun, no? Pensions or gratuities shall not, di pala. No elective or appointed public officer or employee shall receive additional double or indirect compensation, no? Nor accept, anyway, hindi na kailangan tong next na to. From any foreign government kasi parang espionage yan eh, no? Parang ano, pag tumatanggap, di pala espionage, parang ano, basically parang medyo patreason na to pag nag-i-interfere yung foreign government sa isang public official. Hindi na masyadong important siya. Important itong first clause na to, no? Pwede kang magkaroon ng dalawang position as ex officio capacity, but yung sa second office, you will not receive any salary. Okay? Kasi by virtue of the first office, kaya ka lang naman naging member din ng second position. Naging official doon sa second office. Okay. Meron akong hinahanap talaga eh. Ah, lang insert dapat. Ayan. Okay. Hinahanap akong wait, hindi ko na ano, I need to include this one yung hindi ko na nabanggit before we move to executive department. Yun dun sa eto, section 6. No candidate who has lost in any election, yan, shall, within 1 year after such election, be appointed to any office in the government or any government-owned or controlled corporation or in any of their subsidiaries. Wait lang, ito kailangan ko itakil. Lost in any election. Hindi ko na ilagay dito. Ba? Section 6. Hindi ko na ilagay. I need to include this one. Copy paste natin. Para po dito no to settle this one no para mas malinaw sa inyo. Gagawin ko kayo na example. Okay? Types nyo naman pala dapat. Ano example no? By the way, yung po palang natakil natin kanina, wag kayong malilito sa constitutional commissioners po 'yon at saka chairman, 'di ba? Doon po hindi lang 1 year ang prohibition no. Ikumpara muna natin, compare no. The prohibition for constitutional and section 6. Yan. Article 9B. Okay, compare natin, no? For, ayan, constitutional commissioners, they are disqualified. They are not qualified, no? To become chairman, no? Or commissioners, the appointee is not qualified to become a chairman or a commissioner, diba? If he was a candidate, panalo man o talo, in any election, no? Immediately preceding his appointment, his date of appointment, di ba? Kahit anong nangyari sa eleksyon, talo o panalo, hindi po pwede, kapatid. Okay? That's the first. Ito pong sa for section 9B, at saka ano po, so ano yung isang pagkakaiba? Thus, no, it doesn't matter whether the appointee won or lost the election. Okay. Ayos tayo. He cannot be appointed. Yan. He is not qualified. Okay. Further, it doesn't matter if uh, 1, 2, or 3 years have already elapsed. Yan. Since the date of the election immediately preceding. Yan. His appointment. What do I mean by this? Sabihin natin, 2023 yung barangay elections, di ba? Sabihin natin, 2025, January, yan. Ay, 2023, late 2023, sabihin natin yun, no? More than 1 year na. In-appoint siya, lumaban siya bilang barangay captain. Sabihin natin natalo. Ayan. I-appoint siya as Civil Service Commissioner January 2025. More than 1 year na yun, di ba? Tanong, qualified ba siya o disqualified? Disqualified pa din. It doesn't matter if 1, 2, or 3 years have already elapsed since the date of the election, immediately preceding sa appointment. If he was a candidate, yan, in this election, okay, he is disqualified. He is not qualified. So, gawa natin ng example, no? Examples. Mr. A was a candidate for barangay chairman. Ayan. In the 2023 barangay elections. National barangay elections. Okay. He won. Sabi he lost. Okay. In 2025, okay, he was appointed as a civil service commissioner. Was the appointment valid? No. No? Because, number one, because he was a candidate. No? In the barangay elections, no? Which immediately preceded his date of appointment. Okay. As a civil service commissioner. Something like that. Yun ang sagot. Isa lang pala example, no? Cover natin pareho. For section 9B, okay? Ayan, the candidate must lose. Okay, the election. Further, if he lost, nito. Thus, if he won the election, he is not disqualified, di ba? Further, the prohibition is only for 1 year after the election. After the 1 year period, he is not disqualified to be appointed, no, in an office in the government. Kung okay ng dalawang examples, no? 2 examples. Ito po, real life, no? Okay lang naman siguro kasi public knowledge to. Examples, no? Huwag na nating, hindi ko nalalagay sa example ko, no, yung name. Pero gagawin ko na, sabihin ko sa inyo yung example. Sabihin natin si Alan Peter Cayetano. Si Alan Peter Cayetano, Mr. A, sabihin natin, no? Run as a Vice President of the Philippines in the 2016 national elections. Ayan. He lost. Okay. Later, no, after 1 year, he was appointed as the Secretary of DFA. Was he qualified? Okay. Was the appointment valid? Yes. Because, okay, he was appointed after 1 year, no, from the date of the election. Yan ang sagot. O ngayon, paano pag ganito? Next example, no? Ganito yung pinangyari kay Mar Rojas. Natalo siyang Vice President nung panahon ni Binay, di ba? Pinoy Binay yon. After a year, siya na yung naging DILG secretary. Okay yun, kasi 1 year has already, more than 1 year has elapsed. Okay. Next tayo. Mr. A run as a vice president ulit. Magpalang run as a, ano na lang, as a mayor. Ayan, of Manila. Sabihin natin. In the, batin, in the 2016 national elections, no? Kunwari na lang to, no? Sino man, Mr. A na may nakalagay dyan, no? He won. Later, after 1 year, ayan, wag pa lang Manila, no? Sabihin natin na Lukban, Quezon. O, ayan. Ayan. Quezon Province. In the 2016 national elections. He won. Later, after 6 months lang. Ayan. From the date of the election, he was appointed as a department secretary. Okay. He accepted the appointment. Siyempre, department secretary, ibang usapan yan, di ba? So, ang tanong, was the acceptance valid? No? Or, ayan, was accept? Yes. The acceptance was valid, no? Or di pala wag acceptance. Is he qualified na lang? Okay. To become a department secretary? The answer is yes, no? Because he won the elections. Lost lang naman to, di ba? Nakalagay dyan, lose, lost, di ba? Ito pong Section 16, this prohibition only applies to losers, no? Why? Ano po ba ang wisdom? Kasi ang ina-avoid po ng Section 6, Article 9B, yung kaalyado mo, natalo sa election, tapos, parang hindi niya na-feel yung, alam mo yun, hindi naman, wala naging consequences sa pagkatalo niya, kasi automatic, mataas agad ang posisyon niya sa gobyerno, kasi secretary agad siya, di ba? Chairman agad siya, ganun. Yun po ang ina-avoid dyan. Okay? Kaya, nilagay dyan, no? Ngayon po, kung panalo, hello? Okay, sana, hindi naman ako na-mute, no? Ngayon kung panalo, walang problema. Kung panalo, walang problema under Section 6. Okay? Tandaan niyo yan, ha? Because he won the elections, no? Thus, he is not disqualified, di ba? From being appointed as a department secretary within the 1 year period, yan, preceding the date of the election. However, ayan, no? Natakil na natin. However, he must vacate his position, no, as the mayor of Lucban, Quezon. Tangent na lang tayo, di mo na topic, pero ilagay na natin because, pasok mo, no elective official shall be eligible, yan, for appointment in any capacity to any public office, no, during his tenure. By the way, hindi po ito alak method, the way I answered here. Ginagawa ko lang po itong sagot na ito for discussion purposes. Iba-iba po dapat tayo sumagot kapag bar exam, no? Dapat ang pagkakalatag natin, not to discuss, but to alak nito talaga, makita agad yung sagot natin. So, the way I would answer this is, ilalatag ko agad yung Section 6 at saka Section 7 to answer this one, no? Sa kapasalay ko, here, Mr. A was not disqualified from being appointed as a department secretary, no? Because he won the elections. Further, however, he must vacate his position as the mayor of Lucban because hindi ganito. Hindi ganyan. Kasi provision yan. Ilalay ko dyan, mayor of Lucban because he already accepted, di ba? An incompatible office which is being a department secretary. Something like that ang magiging sagot ko. Okay? So, yan ang sagot dyan, no? Pag panalo, pwedeng eligible siya, qualified siya to become department secretary, pero he must forfeit, he must vacate yung una niyang opisina kasi incompatible. Okay, so sana get po natin. Okay, next video po, executive department na tayo. I like these examples, no, maganda. And ipapaayos ko na lang po, no, pag ito nilagay sa reviewer, mas in order na siya. Okay. Medyo ano pa ngayon, no? Hindi pa siya naka-number. Yun po. Thank you.